They say this is a big rich town.
I just come from the poet's parts. What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. This is Power Book 2, Episode 4. As you can see, I'm back on my normal setup, back home. Had a good time with my parents for my dad's 70th birthday, but I'm back and I'm ready to jump right into this. But before we get any further, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you want to be a part of this, hit your subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you get something every time I upload. Well, let me tell you something. It's not going to be a lot of running around from Tariq. It's a little bit, but it's going to be a lot of adult action, if you know what I'm saying. So, you know me, I'm not going to hold you up. Let's jump right into it. This is episode 4 of Power Book 2. Alright, Tariq gets a phone call from Monet to start law. Now, she gives him 3 rules. I need you guys to remember these rules like Tariq has to remember these rules. Rule number 1. Never pay more than what you owe. You owe us $50,000, give us $50,000. Rule number 2, the kids at Stanfield have money. All of our money needs to be given to us on time. If they don't have the money or you didn't sell all the product, that's on you. We still need the money. And rule number 3 that Tariq needs to remember is always pay Monet in cash. Nothing else, always cash. After this, Tariq's headed to a meeting with Stern. He actually has an idea that he wants to propose to Stern. But we get introduced into a guy named Sebastian. This is actually Stern's husband. So he's got married and now he's at the office and he can take over the business and do things for Stern while Stern is out of the office. Now Tariq has an idea to come up with this app. What it is tutoring. Since everything, you can buy food online, you can buy clothes online, Amazon, it'll send you to your house. Tariq has an idea to come up with an app that will send tutors to each individual person's house. Now Tariq's doing this because he's at the campus and he needs a way to get around and start meeting new people. So this is just an idea for him to be able to get some money rolling in because he has to pay for the lawyer. So Sebastian's like, all right, I'll do this for you. I'll set it up for you. But Tariq is like, I don't need any wire transfers or check. I want to do it all cash. And what Sebastian is telling them is, oh, so this is something Mr. Stern wouldn't want to know anything about since we're doing it all cash. And Tariq is like, correct. So he says, I'll take 15%. Tariq is like, oh, no, that's too much. We'll do 3. So they end up agreeing on 5%. So Sebastian's actually about to help Tariq run this app and run the money so it won't be any trace back to any money that Tariq is coming up with. Tariq gets a call from his mom. Tasha knows that he's working for somebody because last week she got a phone call and said we have Tariq working for us. So what she tells Tariq is, hey, I need you to go get you a gun to stay safe. And Tariq is like, man, I'm going back and forth to school. That's going to be too much work for me. Don't worry, Ma, I got it. Once Tariq gets in class, Jabari, he's in there talking about Machiavelli. Pretty much everything that Tariq is living is every book that they're doing in class. If you haven't noticed that, everything they read relates to back to what Tariq or what Ghost was doing. But they get interrupted by Carrie and the head professor. And what they come in and they talk about is the internship that's going to be down in D.C. Now, light-skinned Keisha, she looks over at Loren like, oh, girl, you need to go on out there. You know what I'm saying? You got a boyfriend out there. So Tariq is like, oh, boyfriend. So Jabari's like, we want the best people in this. So Loren comes up and we already know that Jabari messing with some of his students, but they had graduated. And Loren's starting to talk to him and she's like, you should come over. Me and you should have dinner and you should come over to my parents' house. They like your book. So for Jabari, what he's doing is like, okay, shoot, we can do that. Because, you know, he wants the young women. But what he does is to make it not seem as obvious, he tells her to invite Professor Carrie over there because her parents like Jabari's books, but he wants Carrie to come over there. And he also says, bring Tariq with you. One of your classmates, Tariq's the one that volunteers to actually go. And what he tells Loren before he leaves is, hey, it's a date. So let's see where this goes between these two. Now back to the streets, you know what I'm saying? We got Monet and Angry Kane. They pull up on the GTG boys. You know, the spot is hot. They all on social media and stuff wilding out. Well, pretty much Monet's like, hey, we're done with y'all. Kane tells them we're cutting off your work, everything. Y'all made the block hot. So until we say y'all can get some work, can't nobody move no product. So as Monet and them are walking off, one of the guys says, Punta. She turns around and she says, what did you say? And then she says, say it to my face. And then Kane just starts whooping on him. I'm talking about laying him out. And he's whooping on him for a while before anybody even stepped in. And the GTG, one of them tried to step in, and Monet was like, "You sure about that?" So he just stayed back, and Kane and Monet ended up walking off. That's a bad family, I tell you. That is a bad family. With everything going on, all of the siblings, they're talking. They're like, "Hey man, we ain't got no work now. GTG ain't selling. They ain't moving no work for us. What are we gonna do?" Monet comes in, and if y'all notice every episode with her, she sneaks up on the kids and pretty much like, "What the hell y'all doing?" "Dang mom, we just chilling being kids in the kitchen." But they're like, "What are we gonna do?" Because GTG isn't selling anything for us. And she's like, "Don't worry about it. We got Tariq. Tariq's working for us now." So everybody's like, "Tariq?" And Kane's like, "Man, nah, let me go up there, mom. Let me talk to him. So, you know what I'm saying? I can get the questions out of him." But Monet's looking at him like, "Nah, because you too wild. And look how you dress. No one's going to believe you go to school here. I want Drew to go." Diana wants to go, but Diana, Monet already knows that she pulled that sneaky stuff and called her Lorenzo and was like, "Can you tell mom I want to go to college?" So Monet takes her phone from her. They send Drew to go up to Stansfield with Tariq and pretty much just spy on him. They want to see how the operation is running, because if they're going to be making this kind of money and he's talking about moving this much work, then we need to know exactly how he's getting the money. Drew finally shows up to the school, and right off the bat, Tariq knows, what are you doing? Monet sent you here to spy on me? So he's like, yeah, whatever. But Braden comes in the room with some ice cream, and you know he's always hyped. So he looks and he sees Drew. He's like, "Hey, who's the new kid? Is he the plug?" And Tariq's like, "Man, let me get him out of here." So Drew's here spying. So he's pretty much tagging along with with Tariq. So they end up going to an art class. And if we notice, Drew's always been quiet, but it seems like he likes to do art. So once he gets to the class, the teacher's like, "Oh, Tariq, bring your friend in here. This is open art." Tariq, he ends up sitting down. She wants him to sit down with random partners that they don't know. So Tariq goes on the other side of the room. While this is happening, Drew takes a picture to send to his mother, like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm following Tariq." But he sits down with a basketball player, and you could tell that these two are kind of close by how they're talking. Drew's kind of reserved, but he likes art, so he's more talkative because he's talking about art. But you can tell that these two have a little chemistry, and it's a young basketball player, so it looks like Drew likes the boys. But he is an artist. I mean, he was in there drawing his ass off. I give him that. He can draw. Sax is having a hard time. So pretty much Davis McLean, when they're in their little chambers with the judge, they're trying to call Governor Tate up there. They're trying to get Rodriguez up there. They're trying to do everything they can to find some dirt on Sax. So he has all this going on, and then all of a sudden, while he's having a meeting, he gets a knock on his door by the police officers with his niece Riley, who was caught with marijuana in Central Park. And if she wasn't his niece, she'd be in jail in Rikers Island. But Sax, he's like, "Guys, let me talk to her about myself." So pretty much he's telling her, "You can't keep doing this. I'm a political figure. You know how much trouble I'm going to get if they keep finding out that I'm trying to get you out of here and trying to cover up drugs." So she's pretty much like, "I apologize. I'll do anything you want. Just don't tell my mom." So Sax, he's trying to get some dirt on Tariq also, since McLean and them are aiming at him. But since he can't trace a minor, what he's going to do, he has an idea. "I'm going to send my niece and have her go find out what Tariq is doing." Sax is always covering himself, man. Regardless of whatever's going on, if he's going to go down in flames, Sax will always make sure that he has an scapegoat or some way out. So he's going to look for dirt on Tariq, while Davis McLean is looking for dirt on him. And they're talking about questioning everybody. Like I said, Sax is having a tough day. They go back in to question Blanca, and they start asking her questions. So now she's just talking like, Sax got in trouble for stealing a cell phone, planting it in. Now, I told you Sax is having a tough day. So they bring in Blanca Rodriguez and they're questioning her. And Davis McLean is like, what would you say about Sax that is dirty? So then she goes on to say that when Silver was killed, she took Sax to the scene, and Sax stole the cell phone and then put the cell phone in Ghost's office. So Sax is like, "Everything you're telling me has been dismissed. I was never found guilty for any of that. And unless you've seen me do it with your own eyes, can you really use that information?" So the judge has asked Blanca, "Did you see him steal the phone?" And she's like, "No." So Sax is like, "Oh, well, I want that recanted." So pretty much everything she said towards Saxe, we all know everything got dismissed. So Saxe is like, can I give a go at it? Like, okay, go ahead. So what Saxe does is he asks her about Dre. So Dre gave you a statement that he knows who killed Ghost or something along that lines. And she's like, yeah, this is the statement he gave me. Remember, Dre was locked up. Saxe pulls out the arrest file and he's like, are you sure? Because the time that they said Ghost was killed, well, Jamie St. Patrick was killed, Dre was locked up in jail. So it sounds like he was only giving you the information either you wanted to hear or the information you gave him. So the judge is looking at like Blanca like, really? You really got up here and was lying about this? So Saxe actually won this little battle here. I tell you, that man Saxe is a bad man. People hate him, but that dude is nice. Tariq ends up going to a little stash spot that Ghost and Tommy used to have that Tasha sent them the information. So he goes there and he finally picks up a gun. He's getting a call from Braden, and Braden is like, hey man, we need some more product right now, man. We're going through it too fast. The app is blowing up. So what they did was this tutoring app, anyone that needed it, if they ordered a special thing, like math was marijuana, chemistry was like for pills. So if they ordered a special thing and then picked the premium package, they would deliver them actual product, marijuana with your study notes just to cover their cases. So Tariq has all this money and he's getting a call from Paula, and Paula is the assistant. She actually meets up with Tariq like, hey man, I've been calling you. Listen, you can't bring us money in cash like that because people are going to start looking to see where's this money coming from. You need to wire it to me. And Tariq starts lying and saying, well, my grandma, she's the only one that receives money from Ghost's, you know what I'm saying, from his will. I got to finish school and my mom doesn't get anything. So I've been stealing money from her. So pretty much what Paula is saying, if anybody traces us, they're going to see it's all cash. You need to wire it to us so they can do a background check in case they want to look. So now Tariq's in a tough situation. Like, man, I got to figure out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. While all this is going on, Tariq snuck out of the art class and went on about his day while Drew was caught up with the basketball player. He goes back to the basketball player's room. And like I said, you could tell these two had a little bit of chemistry. They were connecting because Drew, they all stay off social media. They family off social media. But he has an Instagram and he let the guy follow him. So that's strike one. Then he goes back to the room with him and the guy starts showing him his tattoos and stuff like, I want you to do my next tat. You can draw. So they start kissing and getting it on. They just go straight to action. It's like Drew looks at his body and like, man, let's get to, you know what I'm saying? Let's get to work. So they start kissing and stuff. The whole time, Diana, they trying to call him and figure out, hey, what have you learned about Tariq? So he goes in the room and he's on the phone. He's like, yeah, I'm with Tariq now. I'm at the school. I'm not with him. We need to get more product. Bring it to the school right now. And it's kind of awkward. Like, why aren't you with Tariq if your only job was to follow Tariq? So now Diana has to go to school with the work because Drew's up there in love doing whatever he's doing. And now Diana's finally leaving the house and she's going to bring some of that work. Diana pulls up to the school. She brings that work for Tariq and she coming to put on a little bit of the other work. But nothing goes as planned for Tariq. Drew comes in the door and he's like, what were y'all doing? And she's playing it slick like, what were you doing and where were you? So I think they already know that he might be gay, you know what I'm saying? But they just don't say anything because it's just a sibling. Like, that's my brother and that's my sister. I'm not going to tell anybody because that's our little secret. But Tariq making a little bit of moves. They finally get Tate to come to the stand. Now, the DMC, the Democratic Party, they were already talking to Saxe like, hey, you're going to have to bring Tate up there, but we want all of this to disappear. So Tate's like, why I got to go up there then? Y'all can take care of it. I'm about to be the governor. But they like, nah, you can't get out of this one. You got to come up here and testify. So when he gets in there, a turn of events happens. He doesn't take Davis McLean's side. He takes Saxe's side. And what he says is, oh, Tasha? Yeah, man, Tasha, I fear for my life with her. After she made me, you know, came with force, made me give her space for her daycare. After she got done using me, she pretty much sent an attacker. Now, I'm not saying Tasha sent it, but someone sent an attacker once they were done with me. And I fear for my life. So McLean is like, what? I thought you was going to go against him. So then they ask him about James St. Patrick. And since He's in the Democratic Party. He doesn't want to look bad. So what he says is, oh, everything that little beef me and James had, that was just politics. Me and him are good friends. And all I've known is him to take care of the community and try to bring people up. So what Tate did, and it works for Sachs, is he made James look like a good guy because both of them are political people. So they have to make sure that the Democratic Party looks good. And that's the main objective. So even with James gone, you don't gain nothing for slandering a dead man. But if you can get all of this negative press and energy off of James and put it on Tasha as the queen pin, oh yeah, now we got a case. So Tate pretty much gets off and like, yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. And when he's leaving, Davis grabs his arm and says, "You a lying ass nigga." And no one hears it but Tate says it in front of everybody and says, "Thank you for your support, brother." And he walks on out of there. That boy Tate is, hey, y'all need to bring his show up. We go Tommy next, and then we're going to go Tate, and then we'll go book 2, chapter 2 or whatever. But Tate needs his show. Now, they always say a mother knows their child best. So once Drew gets home, Monet comes in there and she's talking to him, pretty much just asking him like, okay, so what happened? What did you find out? He's like, I didn't find out much. Tariq knew as soon as I got there that you sent me to spy on him. So she's like, okay, that's good. You didn't find out anything. That means he's being safe. So she's like, so where's all the money and stuff? He's like, oh, it's in my book bag. So Monet goes in there. She gets the money. She's counting it. It's like, okay, as long as Tariq's doing his thing, we're good. But while she's in there, she pulls out a notepad. And what's on the notepad? The basketball player's body with him, like, you know what I'm saying, getting ready to get attacked. But she knows that she's looking at it. She always said that Drew wasn't strong enough, but she knew he was always smarter. Kane is just a roughneck, goes at it. But she knew her son was a little bit different. And what she's trying to tell him is every man isn't like their family. So she's embracing that. She knows that he might be gay. She's just saying, like, everybody doesn't have to be that tough guy. This is who you are. Pretty much, this is what you got to be. But she's also saying it in the tone and voice, like, don't let this get in the way of anything that we got. But she never mentioned him being gay. Now it's time for the huge dinner date. We got both professors. We got Loren. There's still no Tariq. I told you there's going to be a little bit of running around. Well, Tariq shows up a little bit late. Now it's dessert time. Now, Loren's family, they're a little bit bougie. They ain't like us. You know what I'm saying? They the bougie black people talking about, oh, I see you're running on, what do they call it? Color time? So everybody like, man, get this corny shit out of here. But anyway, this turns into a Jabari and Carrie. They start going at it. Pretty much it's subtle. They asked Jabari about his book and like, hey, when's your second book coming out? And Carrie throws a little bit of shade like, oh, it's came and gone. So now Jabari's like, oh, well, you know, I'm working on my next one. And they just start bickering back and forth. Like, she says something, Jabari's gonna down it. He says something, she downs it. So it's like, there's a lot of tension. So Lauren's like, we have one of Jabari's books. Tariq, come help me find it now. So they go in the back room and they're looking for it. Now, we already knew that there's chemistry between Tariq and Loren, you know what I'm saying? So he's in there and they're just talking and she's pretty much like, you're so distant when it comes to talking about your father. And he's just like, yeah, you know, things happen. You know, it just took a while for me to notice to get him off my back. She asks, how did you get him off your back? And Tariq says he died. But they both have a little bit of secrets. And then Lauren's like, well, let me show you mine. And they start kissing. But during the kissing, nothing ever goes as planned for Tariq. Boom, boom, boom. You hear a knock at the door. Turns out it's Lauren's boyfriend from DC. And Tariq is sitting there like, and he just walks out the back without no one even knowing. Now, if you remember, Miss Carrie, that's what I'm gonna start calling her, Miss Carrie, Professor Carrie, she was talking to her sponsor about don't ever do anything with Jabari unless it has to deal with work. So everything that happened at the little feng shui, it just led back to the office. So they get in the room, they start arguing, and she starts calling him out on having sex with his students. And then he's like, which one? He starts naming off like all the students that graduated that he smashed. And this just turns into what we all love as adults, that makeup sex. And they get right to it. And Miss Carrie, she is not disappointing at all. This boy Jabari is a fool, man. I'm telling you what, episode 4 and he knocked down a student, hit her twice. Yeah, man, that boy working. Sack's plan is falling through like he wanted. He sends his niece Riley up to the school to party. But we know she's a party girl. She want to smoke and stuff. So she gets to the party. She tries to talk to Tariq. And Tariq just like, yeah, whatever. I don't know you. Because he moving at work. He ain't got time to just conversate with regular people. So he walks off and Braden starts talking to her. And Braden's feeling her. So these two, I'm seeing a future with these two. She's going to be hanging around. And she's not going to give Sax any information once she starts finding out. That's just my prediction. I'm going to ask y'all later on what you think. But so Riley's talking to Braden. While all this is going on, Tariq walks over to the guy Scott, the head, the guy that's selling the most drugs. He walks over to his crew and is telling like, hey, that guy's selling pills. Words get back around to Scott. Scott comes over and he's talking to Braden. And he's like, what are you doing? And Braden's like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. And they get in a big old fight. And it turns out Braden can throw them hands. Braden whooping on everybody looking like da 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 da. While all this is going on, once they break up the fight, they get Braden off of Scott. Riley turns around and she takes a picture. In the picture, you have Braden back here and the rest of the people with Tariq sitting at the top. So she's showing Sax that she had a visual of Tariq and what kind of environment he's in. So Sax is getting the information he wants one way or another. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of action this time. Now we got Davis and his assistant. Can you believe this? So he's in there going to work, you know what I'm saying? He doing his thing, and she keeps getting a phone call. Now, if you remember, she told Tariq, you have to wire money. This is Tariq sending her the notifications that she has money wired to her. But just like she suspected, it's going to come from a suspicious LLC. So while all this is going on, it turns out Tariq is getting the money from Sebastian, sending the money to Sebastian, and then Sebastian is wiring all the money. But since Sebastian is wiring it, he's not taking 5% anymore. He's taking 15%. And it turns out Davis McLean, he's married. He puts his ring back on. And while him and his assistant are talking, he's asking Paula, let me put this ring back on, you know what I'm saying? She's like, yeah, your wife will remember that. But when he's thinking of that, he says, you know what? You know how we can beat this case? We have to subpoena Tamika. Since she knows all the dirty stuff that Sax did, we need to bring her in and question her. And how does he get the subpoena for her? He sends flowers to her house the next day. And the guy tells her, oh, it's from Davis McLean. So she's thinking, okay, cool. No, ma'am, you just got served. This is your subpoena. You're going to have to come in for questioning. So the next day at school, like I said, Tariq left without telling Loren he left. Because she has a boyfriend. And while they're sitting there talking, Tariq is just like, man, we're young. You know what I'm saying? I know you got a boyfriend, whatever. Do what you got to do. While we're here, we're just going to do us. We're young. We're 18. She's like, nah, I'm 18. You're 17. And Tariq is like, yeah, just for a couple weeks. So that's showing us in a couple of episodes, Tariq is going to be old enough to be tried as an adult. So if he gets this murder case, I don't know what the legal age in New York is, but if he gets this murder case, he'll be 18. So they can try him as an adult. But he pretty much sitting there. He's like, yeah, you got a boyfriend. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to lose the competition of getting the internship to go to DC. And I'm not going to lose my opportunity with talking to you. While all this is going on, Diana's blowing him up. Now, it could be because of the kiss that they had. Or it could be, hey, you need to get that work and get to work. But Loren sees it and she's like, dang, who's Diana? And then Tariq says, we're young. We got options. Pretty much like, hey, I got hoes, you got niggas. But let's get together when we got some free time. And still, Tasha doesn't know who Tariq is working for, but she got a call at the end of last episode, and now she got a picture of Tariq in class. Remember Drew? I told you Drew took a picture. They sent it to Tasha, but what Monet sent in the message is, Tariq is doing a good job working for us. He earned himself another day above ground. So she doesn't know who it is. She just knows Tariq is working from somebody and they got her number. So you know she's in there. They showed her doing some push-ups, but she did like 2 or 3. And I was like, yeah, she ain't about to whoop on nobody, man. But Tasha's spooked now. All right, that's episode 4 of book 2. Let me know what you think below. Do you think Riley's going to become a part of the crew and be like the little druggie? Or do you think she's going to give any information to her Uncle Sax? Let me know below, man. And I don't know, man. Maybe Drew is going to be the brains of things. That's just my thing. And, hey, Tariq and Diana might be a thing. Let me know. Do you think it's going to be Tariq and Diana or Tariq and Loren? But that's episode 4, man. Thank you for watching. Tune in next week, man. If you like my content, please subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, share. Hey, turn on your notifications. I'm Moedotj. Thanks for watching. This is episode 4.